The WK1 SRT8 Jeep is the one Jeep that ruled them all. Welcome back to another episode of Monstars. I'm your host, Steve. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And welcome to episode 1 of Mopar Wars. Now, the reason why I'm creating this series is because over the last couple of years, I've seen a lot of Mopar and Mopar hate, and it's just getting worse. Mostly in person, a little bit on YouTube. I've actually met people in person, educated them, and they became subscribers. So thank you for those guys. You know who you are. And one of them, they were best friends, and they didn't pick on each other at all. One had a V8, the RT, the other one had a V6. That's cool. But basically, the mentality is at the top of the ladder. If it's not a Trackhawk or a Hellcat, it's put down. And then often I see if it's not a V8 and you have the V6, and that's put down. This is for all the people who have a Mopar and don't know what to do with it, or those who want to get one and don't know what to get. This video is for you guys. And for all the Mopar, bullies out there, go ahead and keep bullying people if you want to. Just don't cry when they know how to fight back. And they're going to learn on this video. With that being said, shout out to SRT8 You did not ask for this video, but you're getting it because you shared a comment in a video recently that said you wanted to buy an SRT Jeep and build it to perform like or better than a Trackhawk. And it's financially makes sense. It's a budget build in that regard, and I agree with you. However, you had a few naysayers saying it's not worth doing because it's just as expensive. You might as well get a Trackhawk, or it still won't be fast enough to beat a full bolt-ons Trackhawk, even if you build it. I disagree with that, especially with the Jeep that we're talking about here, because the WK1 Jeep is the original Trackhawk. If it were not for this Jeep existing at all, the Trackhawk would not exist. I'll say it again for those who probably didn't listen to me until just now. If it was not for the WK1 SRT8 Jeep, the Trackhawk would not exist. That being said, this is obviously the Jeep that I recommend you getting. Look into it. Hope you get it. Hope you build it. And you wreck shop. Let's get into it. So this came out in 06 and it lasted up until 2010. You can find these used anywhere from $20,000 to $28,000. It came with a 6.1 liter Hemi V8, 5-speed automatic transmission. The V8 had a 10.3 to 1 compression ratio, made 419 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque to the crank, all-wheel drive, and it weighs 4,740 pounds. 3 different upgrade approaches you can go with here. Heads cam package, 426 stroker, and supercharger. We're going to talk about all 3. You can do any of these or a combination of the 2 or all 3 if you're crazy enough and have the money to do it. Let's start with the heads cam package with the windage tray, 180 degree thermostat, Diablo Sport tune, HHP stage 1 cam, stage 1 built heads, they're all supported, ported intake manifold, throttle body spacer, 90 millimeter throttle body, cold air intake, Cook's headers, and transmission upgrades. We have the high stall torque converter, built transfer case, the most expensive and the most important upgrade, transmission cooler, and the Hemi Tuner TCU tune. Of course, we got a stop, so there's also the power stop rotors and extreme pads. All this combined, cost-wise, we're looking at about $9,760. If you did not want to do the G case for whatever reason, looking at $7,160, not including labor on these, just an overall approximation of price for these parts. Let's move on to the superchargers. So you have Vortec, ProCharger, Magnuson, and Whipple as options. Either of these kits cost roughly about $7,800. Bolt this onto your Jeep, you have roughly 500 horsepower Jeep. Pretty self-explanatory. Let's move on to the 426 stroker. So this kit starts out at $3,500, and depending on the stage head that's built, stage 2, stage 3, like even stage 1, you can get anywhere from 450 to 600 horsepower to the wheels. And this is on pump gas, by the way. You don't even have to use flex fuel. But of course, that depends on the octane you're running. Either of these setups, especially with the transmission upgrades, you'll have an 11-second Jeep. Like, I'm talking mid-11s, like 11.4s probably. And of course, it depends on, track time and altitude and your experience in tires and things like that. But on average, from what I've seen, it's 11-second setups, period. And if you did something like 600 horsepower or more, yeah, it's a 10-second Jeep. So you figured you do even a combination of these to get that 10-second Jeep, a 600, 700 horsepower Jeep, plus the cost of the Jeep. It's a $40,000 build. That's the price of a WK2 SRT Jeep, if I'm not mistaken, used. and you're not getting a Trackhawk for 40 grand. So on the low side of a Trackhawk, which is about $83,000, this is less than half the price technically of a Trackhawk. This is a win-win. Well, this is a mega win, really. So this is the Jeep that I recommend people get if they want to get a Jeep, an SRT Jeep, and they're on a budget or they don't want to spend, crazy amount for one. Stay tuned, because the next episode, I'm really going to piss people off. I'm going to talk about how to make 500 horsepower to the wheels on the Pentastar V6. Like, subscribe, and share. If you don't know, now you know, but do what you want to do.